Long before the war, before the fires, before the darkness, Gondor stood in quiet strength. Its white towers watched over a peaceful land where no shadow had yet reached its gates. Tonight, we return to that forgotten time, to walk the silent streets of Minas Tirith under the stars. And if you enjoy calm journeys through Middle-earth, consider subscribing so you never miss another story. Now, let the night in Gondor begin. As the sun lowers behind the western hills, the light over Minas Tirith begins to soften. White stone, so bright during the day, takes on a gentler tone. Shadows stretch along the walls and across the narrow streets that wind between the levels of the city. The last warmth of daylight lingers on the higher circles, while the lower ones fall into shade. The city does not fall silent all at once. It changes gradually. Voices grow quieter, doors close, footsteps become less hurried. The steady rhythm of the day gives way to something slower, more measured. Along the walls and at the gates, lamps are lit one by one. Their glow is steady, not bright, just enough to hold back the dark. From a distance, they trace the shape of the city, tier upon tier rising against the mountainside. Minas Tirith does not sleep easily. It never has. Even in times of peace, there is a watchfulness built into its stone. The guards take their places as the evening settles. Their movements are familiar, practiced. There is no urgency in them now, no sign of approaching danger. Still, they keep their watch as they always have, looking out across the Pelennor fields where the land stretches wide and open. At this hour, the fields are quiet. No banners, no marching lines. Only the fading light resting over grass that has long since grown back where it was once broken. From the higher levels, the view reaches far. The river glints faintly in the distance. Beyond it, the land continues into shadow. And further still, unseen but not forgotten, lies the east. The city remembers that direction, even now. But memory does not disturb the calm of this evening. It rests beneath it, quiet and settled, like something acknowledged and set aside. Within the walls, life continues in smaller ways. In the lower circles, a few merchants close their stalls, covering goods for the night. The scent of bread still lingers from ovens that have only recently cooled. Somewhere, a cart rolls slowly over stone before coming to a stop for the day. Higher up, the streets are already calmer. The houses stand close together, their windows catching the last light before it fades completely. Curtains are drawn. Lamps begin to glow inside. The city feels different at night. Not empty, not still in the way of abandonment, but contained. As if everything within it has drawn closer together. There is a sense of being held, protected. The great walls that once stood against siege now stand against nothing at all. Yet their presence remains the same, solid, unyielding, a reminder of what they were built for, even when that purpose is no longer needed. Minas Tirith was not made for ease. It was made to endure. And that endurance can be felt even in its quietest hours. Steps echo more clearly now along the stone paths. A single voice carries further than it would during the day. Small sounds stand out where once they would have been lost. A door closing, a distant conversation, the soft movement of wind along the walls. Above it all, the sky deepens. The first stars appear, faint at first, then clearer as the last of the daylight fades. They hang over the city without movement, unchanged by what happens below. The white tower catches the final light longer than the rest. For a brief time, it stands brighter than everything around it, before it too dims into the evening. No signal marks the moment when day fully becomes night. It simply happens. The last color drains from the sky. The lamps become more noticeable. The city settles into its night. In the citadel, there is still movement. Quiet, purposeful. Messengers pass through corridors. Guards stand at their posts. The great doors remain closed, but never unattended. Below, the circles of the city follow their own rhythms. Some houses are already dark. Others remain lit, their windows casting soft shapes onto the streets. Behind them, people finish their meals, speak in low voices, or prepare for rest. There is no single story unfolding here, only many small ones, each contained within its own space, each part of the same city. And slowly, as the night deepens, even these begin to fade. Voices lower, lights go out. The movement of the city becomes less visible, though it never fully stops. Because Minas Tirith does not truly sleep, it rests in layers. At the top, the citadel remains awake. Along the walls, the watch continues. Below, the people sleep. And through it all, the city endures. Not as it did in war, but as something quieter, something steady. The kind of peace that does not need to be spoken to be understood. As night settles more firmly over Minas Tirith, the upper circles grow quieter than the rest. Fewer people pass through these levels at this hour. The streets are wider, the houses larger, spaced with more intention. Stone steps rise in long, steady lines, worn smooth by generations rather than daily traffic. Here, sound carries differently. A single footstep can echo along a wall and fade slowly into the distance. The air feels cooler, touched by the height and the open exposure to the sky. Lamps are placed carefully along the paths, not close together, but enough to guide the way. Their light falls softly across pale stone, leaving long stretches in shadow between them. The city feels older here, not because the lower circles are new, but because the weight of history gathers as the road climbs. The higher one goes, the more Minas Tirith feels like memory made solid. The houses in these levels are closed for the night. Tall doors, carved with care, stand shut beneath arched frames. Windows glow faintly from within, some already dark, others lit by steady, unmoving light. Behind them, lives continue quietly. Muted voices, the faint sound of movement. Nothing that reaches the street in full. There is a distance here, not only in height, but in feeling. These are places shaped as much by lineage as by use. Families that have lived in the city for generations. Rooms that have seen years pass without great change. Walls that hold conversations long finished. Decisions long made. The stone remembers, even when those who walk beside it do not think of it. Higher still, the path curves toward the citadel. The gate stands closed, its presence firm, without needing display. Guards remain at their posts, steady and attentive, though the night offers no challenge. Their watch is quiet, not tense, not restless, simply constant. They look out across the levels below and beyond them to the darkened fields. Their duty has not lessened with peace. It has only changed its shape. Inside the citadel, the silence deepens. The wide courts lie open beneath the night sky.
The white tree stands still, its branches pale against the dark. No wind stirs it now. It holds its place at the center, as it always has. The tower rises above it, its surface catching the faintest trace of starlight. There is little movement here.
A passing guard, a distant door opening, then closing again. Soft sounds quickly absorbed by the open space. It is not empty, but it feels set apart, as if the noise of the lower city does not quite reach this height. From the edge of the citadel, the view stretches wide. Minas Tirith falls away in layers beneath, each circle marked by its own line of lamps. Beyond, the Pelennor lies dark and open, its boundaries difficult to see in the night. Further still, the land disappears into distance. There is a stillness in this view that is not found during the day. Nothing moves in large ways. No lines of travelers, no shifting patterns of work and motion. Only the steady presence of the land itself and the city above it. The upper circles hold this stillness more closely than the rest. They do not resist it. They seem built for it. The stone absorbs the quiet, gives it shape, allows it to settle without interruption. Even the wind, when it passes through, does so gently. It moves along the walls, through open spaces, without force. There is no need for it to carry anything more. Minas Tirith has seen louder nights. It has held fire, fear, urgency. Those things have passed. What remains is something steadier, not empty, not without memory, and no longer defined by what once threatened it. And yet, the sense of watchfulness remains, not as tension, but as habit, as something that has become part of the city itself. The guards stand, the gates remain closed. The tower rises, unchanged. All of it continues, whether needed or not, because that is what endurance becomes over time. Not a response, but a state. In the upper circles, this is felt most clearly. The city does not announce it. It simply exists, layer by layer, stone upon stone, holding its place against the passing of time. And under the night sky, with the stars steady above and the world quiet below, Minas Tirith feels less like a place that was built and more like something that has always been. Along the outer walls of Minas Tirith, the night is clearer. There is less shelter here, less of the city's warmth. The air moves more freely, carrying with it the coolness of open land. From this height, the world feels wider, less contained. The guards take their watch in silence, not because they must, but because there is little need for words. Each knows his place, each knows what to look for, and most of all, each knows that tonight, like many nights before it, will pass without alarm. Still, they watch. It is not a task that ends with war. It continues, steady and unchanged. Torches burn along the wall at regular intervals. Their flames are small, controlled, giving just enough light to mark the path and reveal movement where there should be none. Between them, darkness settles, not deep enough to hide the land entirely, but enough to soften its edges. Beyond the walls, the Pelennor fields stretch outward. By day, they are open and visible, marked by roads, small structures, and the slow movement of life returning to them. At night, they become something else, simpler.
a wide expanse of shadow, broken only by the faintest suggestion of distance. The guards do not look for detail, they look for change. A movement where there should be stillness, a light where there should be none, a shape that does not belong. But there is nothing tonight, only the quiet and the steady presence of the land. Some lean lightly against the stone, shifting their weight now and then. Others stand upright, their gaze fixed outward, not strained, but attentive. There is a rhythm to this kind of watch, a way of standing, a way of breathing. Time passes differently here, not marked by tasks or interruptions, but by the slow movement of the night itself. The sky deepens overhead. Stars spread more clearly now, uninterrupted by the light of day. They remain constant, unaffected by the passing of hours below. Some of the guards glance upward from time to time, not in distraction, but in quiet habit. There is something steady in the stars, something that does not change. And on a long watch, that matters. Further along the wall, a pair of guards exchange a few quiet words. Nothing urgent, nothing that carries beyond their place. A brief acknowledgement of the hour, perhaps, or the passing of time. Then silence returns. It is not empty. It is full of small things. The sound of wind moving across the stone, the faint creak of leather as someone shifts position. A distant call, too far to be clearly understood, carried briefly on the air before it fades. Each sound is noticed, then allowed to pass. There is no need to hold on to it. This is what the watch becomes in times of peace. Not waiting for something to happen, but ensuring that nothing does. A different kind of vigilance. Less sharp, but no less present. The memory of war is not gone from these walls. It does not need to be spoken. It exists in the way the guards stand, in the way their eyes move across the land, in the way they do not assume that quiet will always remain. But tonight, that memory rests. It does not press forward. It does not disturb the calm. It remains in the background, part of what shaped this place, but not part of what defines it now. The hours pass, slowly, without event, and that, in itself, is the purpose. Below them, the city grows quieter still. More lights go out. Fewer voices carry upward. The movement within the walls becomes harder to see, though it never fully disappears. Minas Tirith rests, but the walls remain awake. A guard walks the length of his section, steady and unhurried. His steps fall in a pattern worn by repetition. He pauses at intervals, looks outward, then continues on. Nothing has changed, and so he moves as he always has. This is not boredom. It is familiar. A role understood so well that it no longer needs thought, only presence. Far off, the horizon is a deeper darkness. No light breaks it. No sign of movement rises from it. The east lies there, beyond sight. It is watched even now. Not with fear, but with memory and with habit, because some directions are never entirely forgotten. Even when they no longer threaten, the night continues, unbroken. And on the walls of Minas Tirith, the watch holds steady, not waiting, not expecting, simply there, as it has always been. Away from the walls and high courts, the city holds a different kind of night. Behind doors and shuttered windows, life continues in quiet, familiar ways. The lower circles, though calmer now, are not yet fully asleep. Light still spills from a number of homes, soft and steady, resting against the stone streets in narrow shapes. Inside, the air is warmer. Fires burn low in hearths, no longer needed for cooking, but kept for comfort. The scent of wood smoke lingers, mixed with traces of bread, herbs, and the last of the evening's meal. These are small things, but they carry the weight of daily life. In one house, a family sits close together at a worn wooden table. The dishes have been cleared, though not yet put away. Conversation moves slowly, without urgency. Voices are kept low, not out of caution, but because the day has already passed. There is no need to speak loudly. The work is done. Outside, the city grows quieter, but here, the moment stretches a little longer. A child listens more than speaks, watching the movement of hands, the rhythm of voices. Another leans against a chair, half tired, waiting for the moment when rest will finally come. Nothing remarkable happens, and yet everything feels complete. In another home, someone prepares for sleep in a different way. A small lamp is adjusted, a cloak is folded and set aside. A window is opened briefly, letting in the cool night air before being closed again. The sounds of the city are faint here, distant. A reminder that life continues beyond these walls, but not something that presses inward. There is comfort in that distance. Further along the street, a narrow doorway leads into a smaller dwelling. The space inside is simple, fewer furnishings, less light, but the same sense of closure remains. A single figure sits near the hearth, finishing the last of a meal in silence. No conversation here, only the quiet movement of small tasks. A cup set aside, a chair pulled back. A moment taken before the day fully ends. There was no loneliness in it, only stillness. Minas Tirith holds many lives within its walls, different in detail, similar in rhythm. And at night, those rhythms begin to align. Work gives way to rest, movement to stillness, sound to quiet. The city does not fall silent at once, but it leans toward it, gradually, naturally. In the upper circles, the lights are fewer. The house is larger, but darker now. Those who live there have already withdrawn from the day. Curtains drawn, doors closed. The presence of life felt, but not seen. In the middle circles, a few voices still carry. A late return, a brief exchange at a doorway, the closing of shutters. Then quiet again. And in the lower circles, where life is closest to the gates and the road beyond, the last signs of activity begin to fade. A final lamp extinguished, a door secured, footsteps slowing, then stopping. The city settles, not into silence entirely, but into a state where nothing more is expected. This is the difference between day and night in Minas Tirith. Day is movement. Night is completion. What has been done is enough. What remains can wait, and within that understanding, there is rest. The light from the windows softens as time passes. Some dim, some vanish completely. Others remain small and steady, holding their place against the dark. From above, they would appear scattered, uneven, but from within, each is its own world, contained, complete. There are no great stories unfolding here tonight, no turning points, No moments that will be remembered beyond those who live them. And that is what gives them their weight. Because not everything needs to be lasting to matter. A shared meal, a quiet conversation, the simple act of closing a door at the end of the day. These things do not shape history, but they shape life. And Minas Tirith, for all its history and stone and memory, is held together by these moments as much as by its walls. As the night deepens, even these begin to fade. The last voices fall quiet, the remaining lights grow dim, and one by one the windows darken, until only a few remain, then fewer still, and finally only the faint glow of distant lamps and the steady watch along the walls. The city rests, not fully asleep, but close, and within its stone, behind its walls, beneath the stars above, life continues. In the deeper hours of the night, when most lights have faded and even quiet voices have settled, Minas Tirith feels older. Not in its stone alone, but in what the stone carries. The city does not forget. Too much has passed within its walls for memory to ever fully fade. Even in stillness, there is a sense that the past remains close, not pressing forward, but present in the shape of things. The streets themselves hold it, steps worn into the paths between levels, edges smoothed by time, places where countless others have walked, long before the lives now resting behind closed doors. At night, these details stand out more clearly. Without the movement of the day, the city becomes easier to read. Each surface, each corner, each archway reveals something of what has been. The higher one stands, the further back that memory seems to reach. In the citadel, it is strongest. The white tree stands unmoving, its pale branches faint in the dark. It has seen the passing of kings, the rule of stewards, years of decline, and the return of something long absent. Now it stands in quiet continuity. No longer a symbol of what was lost, but not entirely free from it either. Nearby, the tower rises as it always has, unchanged. Its presence does not depend on who stands within it. It has endured through all of it. War, and now peace. But peace does not erase what came before. It settles over it, like a layer that softens the edges without removing them. There are halls within the city where voices once carried with urgency, rooms where decisions were made under pressure, places where the weight of what might happen next was always present. Now, those same spaces are quiet, used differently, or not at all during these hours. And yet, they do not feel empty. They feel held, as if the memory of what happened there has not left, only settled. Further down, in the older parts of the city, the sense of time is less visible, but still present. in narrow streets that follow paths laid long ago, in doorways shaped by earlier hands, in walls that have been repaired, reinforced, built upon, but never replaced entirely. Minas Tirith was not built in a single moment. It grew, layer by layer, year by year. And at night, that layered history becomes easier to feel. The city is not one thing, it is many things, held together. Old and newer, restored and unchanged. Each part carrying its own memory. Some of it known, most of it not. There are names that have faded, lives that have passed without record. Moments that shaped the city in small ways, now impossible to trace. But they remain in the form of what still stands, in the way a wall curves, in the way a street mirrors, in the way certain places feel different from others, even when nothing visible sets them apart. This is not something that can be explained, only sensed. And at night, when the city is quiet, it becomes clear. The absence of noise allows space for it, not as thought, but as awareness. Minas Tirith has endured more than most places. It has stood through years when its future was uncertain. Through times when what it was meant to protect seemed close to being lost. Those years have passed, but they are not gone. They remain, not as burden, but as part of what the city is. A memory that does not need to be spoken to exist. This is why the quiet here feels different. It is not the quiet of a place untouched. It is the quiet of a place that has seen much and now rests. There is a depth to it, a weight that is not heavy but present, the kind that comes only with time. As the night continues, this feeling settles further. Nothing interrupts it, no sudden movement, no change in rhythm, only the steady passing of hours. And within those hours, the city holds itself as it always has, stone upon stone. Memory within memory, enduring, not because it must prove anything, but because it has already done so. And now, in the calm that follows, it simply remains. There is a moment in the night when everything settles into its quietest state. It does not come at the beginning, when the day is only just ending, nor in the middle, when some lights still remain. It comes later, when even the last wakeful voices have faded and the city rests almost completely. Minas Tirith reaches that moment slowly. The final lamps in the lower circles go dark. Doors have long since been closed. The small movements that marked the earlier hours have stopped. What remains is stillness. Not complete silence, but something close to it. Along the walls, the guards continue their watch. Their presence is unchanged, though even their movements are fewer now. Steps are spaced further apart. Conversations, if they happen at all, are brief and quiet. The rhythm of the watch slows with the night, not in duty, but in pace. There is nothing to disturb it. Beyond the walls, the land is barely visible. The Pelennor lies in darkness, its wide fields blending into the horizon. The river reflects no light now. Even its presence is difficult to trace. The world feels reduced to shapes and distance, and above it, the sky is clear. Stars fill it fully now, no longer faint or scattered. They remain steady, unchanged by the passing of hours below. In this time before dawn, they feel closer, more present, as if the space between the city and the sky has narrowed. Within the city, the upper circles are still. No movement in the streets, no light from the windows, only the pale outline of stone under starlight. The citadel stands as it did before, but even it feels quieter now. The open spaces hold the night without interruption. The white tree does not move. The tower rises without sound. Everything has settled into place. This is the deepest point of rest. Not sleep alone, but pause. A moment where nothing is being asked of the city. No decisions. No movement toward what comes next. Only stillness. It does not last long, but while it does, it is complete. In the lower circles, the houses are dark. Inside, the people sleep. Their lives paused for a few hours, their concerns set aside. The work of the day has ended, and the next has not yet begun. Even the small, unnoticed movements that continue through most of the night have faded. No doors open, no footsteps pass, no voices carry. Only the faintest sounds remain. A shift in the wind, a quiet settling of wood or stone. Things that do not draw attention, only confirm that the world continues, even in stillness. Time moves differently here. Without change to mark it, it seems to slow. Moments stretch. The space between them widens, and within that space there is calm. Not the calm of relief, not the calm that follows effort, but the kind that exists on its own, unforced, unnoticed. The guards feel it as they stand their watch. Not something they think about, but something that settles around them. The city feels it in its stone, the weight of it held evenly, without strain. Even the land beyond the walls seems part of it. No movement, no sound, just presence. This is the hour before dawn, the point where night is most itself, and for a brief time, nothing changes. Then, slowly, something does. Not in the city, not yet, but in the sky. The darkness begins to shift, so slightly that it would be missed if one were not already still. The stars remain, but the space around them softens. The horizon lightens, though the sun is still far below it. It is not yet morning, but it is no longer the deepest night. The change is quiet, almost unnoticed, but certain. And as it begins, the stillness starts to loosen, not broken, just eased. The city remains at rest, but the moment has passed, and something new is beginning. The first light does not arrive all at once. It begins quietly, at the edge of the world, a faint, pale line along the horizon, barely enough to notice unless one has been watching for it. The stars above remain, but their brightness begins to soften. The night loosens its hold, slowly, without interruption. Over the walls of Minas Tirith, the guards are the first to see it clearly. From their height, the change comes sooner. The land below is still dim, but the sky has begun to shift. They do not speak of it. There is no need. It is something they have seen many times before, and yet Each time, it carries the same quiet certainty. The night has passed. Within the city, the change is more gradual. The streets remain empty. The houses are still dark, but the shadows are no longer as deep as they were. Edges become easier to see. The shapes of walls and steps begin to return. The stone reflects the glowing light in subtle ways. At first, only a faint difference in tone. Then, slowly, a soft brightness begins to settle across the upper circles. The citadel is touched first. The highest point, open to the sky, receives the earliest light. The tower, pale even in darkness, begins to stand out again against the fading night. The white tree catches it next. Its branches, still and pale, take on a clearer form. What was only a silhouette becomes visible once more. The city does not wake suddenly. It stirs, gently. In the lower circles, a single light appears in a window, then another, small signs that the night's rest is coming to an end. Inside, movement begins again. A shift, a quiet step. The beginning of a new day, not yet fully formed. The guards along the walls adjust their stance. Some turn their gaze inward for a moment, toward the city they have watched through the night. Others continue to look outward, though now the land is easier to see. The Pelennor fields begin to take shape again. What was shadow becomes surface. Lines return. Distance becomes clearer. The world reappears, piece by piece. There is no urgency in this transition, no signal that marks its completion, only a steady increase of light. The stars fade, not all at once, but one by one, until only the faintest remain. Then they too are gone, leaving the sky clear and open. The city follows. More windows light. Doors begin to open. A figure steps into a street, pauses, then moves on. The first sounds return, soft at first, then more. Footsteps, voices, low and measured. The familiar rhythm of life beginning again. Minas Tirith does not rush into the day. It builds into it, layer by layer, as it does in all things. The upper circles come alive last. The citadel, so still through the night, begins to show movement once more. Guards change their watch. Doors open. The sense of pause that held through the deepest hours gives way to quiet activity. The tower stands unchanged. The tree remains still, but the space around them fills again with purpose. Below, the streets carry more life. People move with intention, though without haste. The day's work is not yet pressing, but it approaches. The city has returned, not from sleep entirely, but from rest. The difference is small, but it is there. Night in Minas Tirith does not erase what the city is. It reveals another part of it. And now, as the light grows stronger and the sun rises beyond the horizon, that part settles back. Not gone, only set aside. The white city stands as it did before, bright, steady, enduring. And the cycle continues. Day will come, and with it, movement, sound, and purpose. Then evening again, and night, and quiet, as it always has, as it will. And now, the city is waking. Light rests on stone. Voices return to the streets. And the long night, with all its quiet, passes gently into day. There is nothing more to follow.
only the steady rhythm of the city, continuing as it always does. You may let the sounds fade as the morning grows,